are just symbols of ego, and you get inflated. And by the way, what was the ultimate problem of shaitan? How many haram things did he do? So he gets to be called shaitan, right? Well, how many people did he kill or murder? Or what kind of crimes did he do that he gets to be called shaitan? Yeah, ego. He had an ego problem. Why him? What's this dust, clay, man? Fire right here. He said whatever. Basically. That's what he said. Make sajda, whatever. Right? That's the ultimate ego problem. Whose footsteps are we following? Allah says, وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And guess what? That's the biggest problem of our youth today. Yourself.
How about I don't care?
That's very well said. I don't see this apathy, this distancing yourself from, from emotional responsibility, distancing yourself from actually even your own self. This is actually a deeply spiritual problem that is faced by our youth. And when that happens, it's easy for you to turn to an animal. That's really what's happening. And you aren't being told that enough. You're not being told that enough. Nobody's there to tell you, listen, your friends are turning you from a noble human being into nothing more than an ornate animal. That's what they're turning you into. So you need to change your company. You're not being told that enough. And so the people around you are your destruction. So, and that's really what I wanted to get at in the end, inshallah. There's three major problems I brought to your attention. One was useless knowledge. That's what I tried to bring to your attention. The second was overexposure to what? Shamelessness in speech, in company, in things you see, and being desensitized to that. And the third is basically the root of all of this, which is a problem of ego. That's really these three things. Now, this is supposed to be a verse on the Quran. So the last thing I want to tell you, remember I said the people of a pure mind, Allah defines them at the end of Al-Quran. So what does He tell us? Basically, He tells us two things they do. الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا وَعَلَى جُنُوبِهِمْ وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. And that's it. He just tells us two things about these people that you need to know at the heart of it. He said these are people who remember Allah all the time. When you remember Allah all the time, you are remembering someone who's greater than yourself. Right? And the more you remember His greatness, the more it reminds you of what? How pathetic who is? You are. It keeps your ego in check. And the more egotistical you become, the more it's a sign of the fact that you don't what? Don't remember Allah. If you were really remembering Allah all the time, you wouldn't have time to be obsessed with your ego. You'd be obsessed with Allah and His magnificent power in creation. You'd be humbled by it all the time. So the first solution to a person with a pure mind is they remember Allah. And then anything that takes them away from remembering Allah, they see that as an enemy. So it's, if your friends take you away from remembering Allah, if it's your laptop that takes you away from remembering Allah, if it's your iPhone that takes you away I have an iPhone, it's okay. But it's, right? iPod, fine. iPod Touch that takes you away from remembering Allah. If it's your PS3, if it's Grand Theft Auto 57, whatever, right? If that takes you away from remembering Allah, then that's what's turning you into an animal. And actually more like a zombie when you're playing this video game, right? Allah describes the heedless as cattle. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ. They're like cattle, they're even worse. Look at a kid playing video games. Don't tell me they don't look like cattle. That's all they're doing. Now Allah compares them to cattle because cattle has no idea what's going on around it. You know that? A cow has no idea what's up. A car could pass by on the highway, won't even look up. Now watch somebody who's playing video games. There could be a fire in the house. That's all that's going on. Turned into cattle, even worse. Even worse. Even worse because the cattle, at least it's naturally that way. You were given reflexes. You were made aware. You became worse than subhanAllah. So I mean, I don't want to give you a complicated academic lecture. I just wanted to bring forth concerns that I see are the primary concerns for youth, inshallah ta'ala. I just wanted to share with you a heart-to-heart. I don't claim that I'm above these problems. I probably had similar or worse problems when I was your age, but nobody was there to tell me. Nobody was going to say, man, you're messed up. You need to become human. Stop being an animal. Really. When you use a lot of cuss language, don't think you're all hardcore because you can curse. I can curse better than you. But the fact that I hold myself back, you know what that means? I'm more human than you are. That's what that means. And you're less, because you can't control what? You can't control your tongue. So may Allah Azza wa Jal make all of you decent human beings. May Allah Azza wa Jal help you protect your humanity and make you good to your families and obedient to your parents. May Allah Azza wa Jal make you people who actually care and don't take an apathetic, egotistical approach to everything in life. May Allah Azza wa Jal make you identify your real priorities in life, especially when it comes to avoiding all forms of shamelessness. And secondly, taking care of your parents and being respectful to them. All I have to share with you is that Allah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Do we have a Q&A session?
Do we have a Q&A? No, right? No questions, right?
Can I voluntarily initiate one?
Is that a question or a comment? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering because I thought it's important for maybe you could advise us. How can we deal with those instances when we see individuals who are full of this, like you said, useless knowledge? Like, for instance, you have a movie star, but they're going and adopting people from Africa, and you have like a football player probably getting into a lot of charity, or you're listening to music, and there are instances. What I'm trying to say is that a lot of times what really deviates us is this mix between the good and bad. How you find the good and bad in both in one place, and that starts blurring in our mind. That fine line that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala draws between right and wrong.
It's actually I'm really happy you asked that question. I gave khutbah about that yesterday. The Quran says something really peculiar. Really peculiar. You have to pay real attention if you want to understand this, okay? A number of times in the Quran you find the phrase وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُم. Shaitan beautified their deeds to them. The word amal in Arabic doesn't just mean deeds, it usually implies good deeds. It doesn't imply deeds, mostly it implies good deeds. If the evil deeds are mentioned in specific, we find the word Sous amali, the worst of their deeds or evil forms of deeds. So Allah is saying Shaitan beautified to them their good deeds in a sense. What in the world does that mean? Good deeds are beautiful anyway, so Shaitan is doing a good thing. I mean, I would find it bad if Shaitan made them beautify what? Bad deeds. But Allah says no, Shaitan made them beautify good deeds. Why would he say that? You see, there are people who do really, really horrible things. Really horrendous things. And then they do something what? Good. And then Shaitan makes them say, man, you're so good. You do this one good thing. You're such an awesome person. People should be just like you. And they make them, that one good thing makes them forget what? The really bad thing that they just did. Right? So what Shaitan does is, he makes you worry about that one good thing and highlight that. And that's supposed to compensate for all the, by the way, Fir'aun tried this. Musa alayhi salam came to Fir'aun, let Bani Israel go. Fir'aun says to him, Alam Rabbika Fina Walida? Didn't we raise you as a child? Didn't you spend many years with us? Is that a good deed or no? That's a good deed. You know how Musa responded? Yeah, you did do that a real big favor to me. Does that mean you get to enslave Bani Israel? So you did that really good thing. Thanks, you babysat me for so many years. I guess that lets you become a slave owner for an entire nation. How are you comparing these two things? One doesn't cancel the other out. This isn't positive and negative in a video game. You lose points for doing this. You gain points for doing that. This one doesn't erase the other necessarily. No. And so we have to understand when somebody does something evil or they're associated with something evil, we call it that. Not people don't only do bad things and people don't only do good things. People do a mix of all of those things, right? And it's okay to appreciate a good athlete. There's nothing wrong with that. But thinking that these are the people to look up to, what do they look up to? What's their goal in life? Once this guy loses his knee in an accident in a basketball game, is he still going to be your hero? All that. What did you look up to? How high he can jump? That's it. That's So you're basically only looking at things that are less than. I come back to the same point. Less than human, less than decent. Anybody can do that. But look up to someone who makes you an awesome person. Which is why I didn't say this advice before, but I'll say it now. I'm ranting now, but find older people to be friends with. It's good to have older friends. They're more mature than you. They're smarter than you. They can tell you when you're acting stupid. Friends your age make you dumber. Seriously. Friends older than you make you smarter. Yes?
I'm just looking at the things that you said, that the shaitan would make us with one good thing and highlight it. And with this thing, would the shaitan make us arrogant with this one? And
Yeah.
forgetting that,
Arrogant and happy with it.
That's the lesson, maybe it's, which is, takes the shaitan away from Jannah.
Yeah.
Arrogance. It's the first sin. God shouldn't even take that.
But nobody else has a question, right? And don't worry, we're in on.
Yeah.
I made him listen to me. It's not right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I just kind of want our advice. Like, okay, so many of us we have this, our highest our Quranic, going back to the Quran, our highest education on Quran is many of us go through life with only the third grade understanding of the Quran, where we either stop studying it or we don't go anywhere past just reading it once, or just memorizing just a few things from the back of Juzullah. And what is something that we can do to continue it? And also what would you set by, for example, not that we should set limits or anything like that, or boundaries or stages, but in a way, what would you say by age 10 you should know, by age 10, by age 15 you should be at this point?
Well, for some of you those ships have sailed, right? So might as well just identify milestones instead of age milestones. None of your very few of your parents here, so. But what I think is the advantage of the Muslim world is that you have scholars that have given really nice lectures on the entire Quran. Explain the Quran to people with proper tafsir in the language of the people. This is an advantage of the Muslim world. People have done this in the Arab world. People have done this in the Indo-Pak subcontinent. This is only beginning to happen in English now, where I don't think we are a people of reading as much as we are a people of what? Of listening. And when you listen to something, it sticks. When you read something, you forget. At least that's the case with me. So I think one of the things you guys have to do now, inshallah ta'ala, is to maybe highly encourage your local imams to start halaqat of regular tafsir that are years in commitment, just once a week. And don't worry about quantity of Quran, worry about what? Quality of Quran. Just one passage that you know really, really, really well. You memorize it, you recite it properly, you use it in prayer, you've studied every single word of it, you know its tafsir, you've heard lectures on it, you've asked really hard questions about it, you know so much about this one passage. That's a healthy relationship with the Quran. As opposed to having a shallow knowledge of the whole, or a lot of Quran. That's not as beneficial as having a lot of really good knowledge about a select passage from the Quran. This is one resource I can tell you about. It's not the only resource, and there's some really good stuff out there now, mashallah. I made a 7-year commitment to do a lecture series on the entire Quran. At least as in-depth as I can study on the entire Quran. And I started this about 25 weeks ago. I study a page of Quran a week, and then I present. I started from Juz Amma because most people memorize Juz Amma. Whatever I've done so far is actually posted online in the free MP3s. There you can get them. At bayina.com/stream. They're on the site. So what you could do for starters at least is, okay, so you memorized the surah, let's say Surah Al-Naba, you memorized it. Now you can listen to the lecture on it, listen to whatever tafsirs you have at your disposal on it. Become really thoroughly knowledgeable in one surah. And then when you're done, move on to the next surah. And it doesn't have to be a full-time Sharia degree or Mufassir degree. It's a long-term relationship a Muslim has with Quran. And if it takes a long time to do a little bit of Quran, that's still good. It's still excellent, actually. Because even a little Quran is a transformational experience. It's very, very powerful stuff. It's very potent. Quran is very heavy. No writer, no songwriter, no entertainer is going to be heavy like that. Sometimes you listen to some man, that was deep. That wasn't deep. Quran is deep. I'm telling you, it's deep. It rattles you to the core. Oh, can I give you an example? It's on the tip of my tongue. I should give you. Should I give you? Yes. Last week I was teaching بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى. You know this? أوحى إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها بأن ربك يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوحى لها. In Arabic we don't say أوحى لها, we say أوحى إليها. We don't say لها, we say إليها. It means that the rough translation of the ayah is because its Lord, or your Lord, meaning Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your master, had inspired the earth to give out its news. Meaning the earth, everything we do on the earth, it was being recorded, and who was watching it and absorbing it? The earth all this time. And on that day, it gets to speak about everything it knows. It's been holding back. It's been quiet all this time, and then it gets to speak about it on the day of judgment. That is the ayah, يَوْمَ إِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا. Then also says, why does it speak on that day? بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا. Because your Lord, rough translation before you, because your Lord inspired it. Okay? Your Lord inspired it. But if you want to say inspired it or instructed it even, you don't say أَوْحَى لَهَا, you say أَوْحَى إِلَيْهَا. The meaning changes with la. The meaning is because your Lord inspired it and gave it permission. وَأَذِنَ لَهَا. It's mahdoof. He gave it permission. You know what that means? You know when you instruct someone, they may or may not want to do it. If I tell my daughter, go get me a glass of water, maybe she wants to get it, maybe she doesn't, but she's going to get it because I instructed her. But if I give her permission to go outside, then I know one thing for sure. That she what? She wanted to go. What we learned from that lam in the ayah is the earth wanted to speak all this time. The earth is like, it's been stuffing its stomach with all this nasty news, these secrets that it can't hold, and it's begging Allah, let me speak. Let me speak. There's too much, I can't take anymore. And then finally Allah says, go ahead. So we're learning that the earth is very impatient with us. It's holding back. The only thing holding it back is that Allah hasn't yet given it permission, but it wants to. And it's going to regurgitate on that. SubhanAllah, just with that, man. It's deep, man. Stuff is deep. You just sit there and you go, whoa. The way you walk the earth now changes. You take it easy. It changes your attitude. It's heavy stuff. So, if you become a student of Quran, inshallah ta'ala, it's really, and then your mind is thinking about this stuff, and now you have no time for vanities. Hence, becoming a person of pure mind. Allah make us of those people, inshallah. I'm not going to answer any more. Please don't ask me.